Oh no, it's back. Okay, great. Thank you. All right. People in the back. Yeah. Ooh, it's even better. People in the back. People in the kitchen. People in the back. I see you. I see you. You see me. All right. Now that we have most of the people in the back and the front, wow, packed house. I'm very happy with this. All right, everybody's kind of getting settled in. How many of you guys have seen me before? Raise your hands. Only a few of you? Okay, so only a few of you guys know I do this. So I'm gonna take the camera and I'm gonna go this way. I want you to wave when the phone points at you, all right? All right, on three. Three, two, that's on one. 1, 2, 3. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the July iteration. All right, thank you for that. And I'm gonna post that later. Okay, so let's see. We'll go through the intro and then we've got 2 amazing talks and we've got 15 pitches today. So if you signed up today, I'm sorry, but that was too late. I had already selected all the people who had signed up in the days before. So we've got 15 2-minute demos at the end, and I will be cutting you off at 2 minutes this time. If you've been here last time, I didn't run it very well and I got a little bit over. Next time this time we'll do 2 minutes. So I'm gonna go through my classic QR codes. So if you guys are a developer and you're interested in working in AI, you're interested in working in open source, you can scan this and fill this out. This is just what I send to my friends who are like, hey, I'm looking to hire for XYZ role. Do you know anybody? Then what I do is I'm just like, check out this form. And if you want to be on that list, you can scan this and you can fill it out. And okay, I see a few phones out still. All right. All right, a few phones out. Okay, a few more phones. All right, cool. If you didn't get to scan this, you can come see me later. This, of course, this is the most important slide that you'll see today. So this is me. You'll find me. My name is Eugen. And I've been running OSS4AI for, I don't know, like a few months now. I think we started back in January. Our first event was a hackathon in Seattle. We had 30 people show up. But the SF events have all been huge. I'm really glad that you guys are here. I'm really glad you guys are a part of this community. And I hope to see you all again. We run a lot of events basically to give developers resources to understand, use, and contribute to the development and direction of AI. One of my theses is that within the next, I don't know, 3 to 5 years, pretty much all developers are going to be AI devs. And so I want to be someone who plays a key role in that transition. So make sure you follow me so you can watch. All right, this is the calendar. I think all of you guys are subscribed to the calendar. If you came to this event, like chances are you're subscribed to the calendar, but if you're not and you want to subscribe to the calendar, you can scan this and fill this out and you can subscribe to the calendar. This will also subscribe you to my newsletter. So you can join, like 4,000 some people who read my like 2 minutes of things that I want to say every so often. Okay, I still see some phones out. All right, oh, still see some phones out. Great. While phones are out, who here is a software developer? Raise your hand. Oh, great, most of you, that's what I thought. Okay, what about like product managers, project managers, whatever? A few of you, okay. Is anybody here like anything else? Like, are there any VCs here? No, you guys don't want to show yourself anyway. All right, so this is the next event, August 19th. I think there's already like 14 people signed up for this, but if you guys all sign up for this, then it'll hit like 150 people before anything gets announced. So there's no announcements, but there will be another round of 2-minute demos. So if you're a startup founder, you didn't get to do a 2-minute demo this time, scan this event and send me an email, send me a message, be like, hey, I signed up for the forum and I didn't get picked. You know, blah, blah, blah. And I'll try to make sure that you can get your 2 minutes of fame in. All right, so finally, those of you who follow me on LinkedIn know that I've joined Tavus as an AI hacker, which means I'm just like building random shit. And if you want to get some private beta, whatever, access to build video AI, this is the form you should be filling out. This will get you, I mean, I'm not gonna guarantee that it'll get you private beta access, but you can request private beta access. I think that's it for this form. Okay, cool. So I have no more slides. That means that I have nothing left to say. And so I'm just gonna bring up our first speakers. Ari, Christian, come on up.
Oh, sweet. Hey, everybody. How's it going? Okay, we'll actually use the mic. Yeah. Okay, hey, everybody. How's it going? Okay. I'm jumping ahead. Hello. Okay, so I'm Ari. I'm one of the engineering managers here at Tavus, and I can pass it to Christian for a quick intro.
Hi, I'm Christian. I'm the head of machine learning at Tavus.
Sweet. So what is Tavus? So we are a generative AI video research company where our goal is to take really complex research and distill it into really simple APIs so that product teams can build out really complex video generation incredibly easily. So I want to give a quick demo, quick word from our founder.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, and there's no audio out. Let's try this.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hassan, CEO and founder. Well, I'm his digital twin. He didn't have time to record this, so I wrote the script, and here we are.
So that's Hassan, our founder, and that's his replica or his digital twin. And so the talk today is kind of walking you through how you guys can generate videos with digital twins in just 2 endpoints. So our first endpoint is our digital twin training endpoint, and it's a single line. You just require a minute of train video. It's just you talking to your phone or your video camera. It can be about anything. There's no actual script that's required. You can just kind of freestyle whatever you want. And from that, we take your video and we put it through our train pipeline. And Christian is going to talk a little bit about our train pipeline, and then we're going to circle back and talk about actually generating videos with your digital replica.
All right, so I'm going to actually talk about just a small piece of our training pipeline, which is how we do reconstruction. Specifically, I want to talk about why we moved from 2D talking head methods to 3D talking head methods. So to begin, here is a 2D talking head pipeline. This is taken from the Wave to Lip paper. This was the state of the art like a few years ago, and it shows a very simple network input. You have the audio from the training video, you have a reference frame from the training video, just one still image, and then you have every frame from the training video go through this masking process and generation of new lips. So this is the generator. This is the 2-part GAN network. And so you have a discriminator network called a SyncNet, which is trained on thousands of hours of audio video synced data. And this discriminator basically says, okay, these lips do not look right, and propagates that back. And so this network learns to input the correct lower half of the face to generate a final frame. Yeah, we can go to the next slide. So why did we move from 2D to 3D? Well, the root cause, I guess, is to have more accurate replicas and for faster inference time, faster training times. But to get a little bit more deep here, so in the 3D space, the information for each pixel is more rich. So when we talk about 2D, it's like RGB images that you're working with throughout the entire pipeline. But for 3D, you have now X, Y, and Z. You have color and intensity. And through this, you have a little bit more controllability as well of your replicas because of some physics-aware constraints you can apply in 3D space that aren't available in 2D space. So if you're in the 3D reconstruction field, you might have heard of these neural radiance fields or 3D Gaussian splatting techniques. These are both active research areas. Neither one has really won out, I would say, but both are exciting for their own reasons. So briefly, the NERF trains a neural network to map 3D coordinates and viewing directions to color and intensity as output. And then 3D Gaussian splatting is mapping 3D coordinates to Gaussian functions. And if you're familiar with robotics or you've done some LiDAR stuff or anything like that, you've probably worked with a point cloud. And so generally working with 3D Gaussian splatting is easier as an output. And it's also really fast as a renderer. So you'll see this being applied in video games as well, and probably other areas as well, anything with reconstruction. Okay, so with those methods, we now have a 3D head, but we're still missing the animation piece. Meaning that when you want to generate a video, you have a new script or a new audio, and you want that to move your replica's face, your expressions, your lips, everything to match this new audio. So we can go forward. All right, so this is a pipeline that uses NERF in order to accomplish that task. So this figure is actually from 80 NERF, which is a research paper written by one of the senior researchers at Tavus. And it takes in audio and source training frames, and it learns a mapping of that audio to 3D pixel locations, color and intensity at each location. All right, we can move on to the next slide. So yeah, building on that, the Gaussian Talker is another paper that illustrates how you can use Gaussian splatting for the same effect. So you have audio, you have reference frames, you are able to animate some kind of head mesh, and then learn texture using the Gaussian points. And finally, you'll end up with a talking head video again. Cool. So as I mentioned, 3DGS is able to render at over 100 FPS, which is really great for providing fast inference times. Customers can get their videos back faster. So this slide is actually about everything related to scaling Phoenix. So we also had to deal with GPU loads, which is, I mean, I don't know how many of you are working in Gen AI, but getting GPUs is really hard. And so we had to deal with the whole on-demand auto-scaling part of GPUs. So yeah, why that's a challenge is because we have very bursty request loads. It's not like we are generating 10 videos every 2 minutes or something over time. It's like somebody needs now 10,000 videos in an hour. It's not constant. So we need to be able to scale up to thousands of machines and scale back down to however many warm. Yeah, we also had to manage machine failures. Those machines could fail for whatever reason. And my only advice there is that visibility is key into your machines that you're managing. Yeah, okay, another challenge here was iterating on model quality without having some perfect evaluation method. Basically, if we had a way to perfectly evaluate model quality quantitatively, then we would use that to train our models. So yeah, in that regard, human eval is a big part of current generative video AI tasks. And finally, one of the things I'm most excited about, I guess, was growing a team of world-class researchers at Tavus. We're a multicultural and international team. And I've learned a lot about, well, culture and management. And I mean, if anybody wants to discuss that further, I'd love to talk after as well. I'm really passionate about that area. Yeah, we can go forward. Oh yeah. Cool.
Sweet. So quick summary. You guys record a minute of video. you give it to us, and we'll give you back a replica, is what we call it in code. Digital twin is what our marketers call it. And with that replica, you're able to generate videos, and you're able to generate videos at scale with just one endpoint. So I want to talk real quick about the difficulty of video generation. And it's not just technical, it's psychological. Specifically with synthetic videos, people are really sensitive to artifacts in their face or in their voice, right? So we know our faces and our voice better than anyone else. And we're very critical of our own faces and our own voices, right? So you generate some audio and you're always like, oh, it kind of doesn't sound like me, that little part, I don't say it like that. But in reality, if you were to, give a blind hearing test, so to speak, it'd be almost indistinguishable to people that know you, and definitely indistinguishable for people that don't know you. And so in order to kind of combat the psychology of this, we offer two different ways of generating videos. One is script to video. So you're able to give us a script. So Hassan wrote out that script and just sent it and received the video back. And the other is natural audio. So we allow you to record audio. So for example, if you want perfect audio and you're very nitpicky and you're very sensitive to any sort of artifact in your voice, whether imagined or not, you could take a recording of your voice and pass it through and use it as input to inference. And so it kind of helps assuage that psychological issue of like, oh, this isn't 100% me, while allowing you to still scale a lot. So these next bullet points are kind of the main components of our video generation pipeline. So the first is audio generation. So we have a pool of TTS engines that we pick from, and we'll do some heuristics on the audio that you pass in to gauge which one is the best for you. So Christian has a different voice than me, and so a different TTS engine may work better for his accent, cadence, etc. So once we have that audio file, we pass it as input to our inference pipeline, and we get the outputted face. We then stitch the audio and the face together, and we have this pretty cool feature where you're able to make Loom style videos, where if you want to give a presentation on anything, you can pass a video in as an input parameter, and we will create a Loom video pretty much for you, where you're presenting and then your replica is in the bottom left. Alternatively, if you want us to scrape a video of any website, we can also do that. Then we finally stitch the resulting video all together and we send it back to you via callback. So the real question that we're trying to answer at Tavus is like, why video? And I think that answer is pretty easy. Everyone has seen Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikTok. You know that the attention grabbing power of video is significant, right? But actually sitting and generating 10 hours of video is horrible. Both Christian and I have spent a lot of time in front of cameras, and it is frustrating when you have to create personalized videos for people. And so we're trying to enable this at scale. Specifically want developers to build it out at scale. And so a custom cool use cases we found are video editing companies. So think of Loom, where you're able to customize different aspects of the video and you're able to pull in your replica as a component in that video. Video sales, point solutions. So if you want to templatize scripts, so let's say after this meetup, I wanted to send every single one of you a thank you video, right? I can templatize a script and send all of you personalized videos. Education platforms. We've seen great success with tutors, creating custom curriculums for individual students. So let's say I'm really bad at calculus, and there are certain parts of calculus that I'm bad at. Whatever tutor or teacher is able to kind of create individual scripts for me. Health communication platforms, so appointment reminders, right? I ignore appointment reminders all the time, but a video grabs my attention. And celebrity marketing platforms. So that's a pretty new one for us, where celebrities are really interested in engaging with fans in a broader context than just like tweeting at them. So what's next? more expressive replicas, emotion control, being able to kind of fine tune how your replica says specific words or creates those videos, faster training, faster inference, and we have a couple cool things coming out at the end of next month. If you guys want to check out Tavus, hit up this QR code. And if anyone has any questions, I think we have a few minutes for questions. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how do you think about safety as an aspect of school? It seems really useful, but
Totally.
actually dangerous as well.
Incredibly good question. I'm actually going to go back to our training endpoint. And okay, so every replica that's created requires consent. So you can pass a consent video as a separate input param or in your training video. And what we'll do is we have a couple things that we do to ensure that, like, let's say you send a consent video and then your trained data is of me speaking right now. So we do a couple things. We do biometric markers like your voice, your face, the script, and then we also do celebrity detection, I guess. So we have a pool of, anyone that has more than, let's say, like 10,000 followers on Instagram, and we go through and make sure that the training video isn't of them. So it's something we take incredibly seriously because it's really powerful technology, and we don't want people doing weird stuff with it. So really good question. Anybody else? Yeah.
What's the latency like for the video generation? You talk about it being fast, but like how fast?
Yeah, so this is a really good question because we've made some pretty cool improvements here. So our traditional pipeline does all sorts of things like creates a thumbnail that you can use, an embedded thumbnail, all these kinds of things. And that takes about 4 minutes. And we have a fast pipeline that we recently launched that kind of strips away all the cruft. If you're a developer and you just want the video hosted on, let's say, S3, we can get it to you in about like 1.5 minutes. Yeah. Oh, great call.
How are you managing your model checkpoints since your model checkpoints scale with per video?
So yeah, the models here, we have 2 different kinds. We have pre-trained ones that are trained on thousands of hours of data, of course, but then we also have the fine-tuned versions per customer, and we have to manage all of that. We've opted to pretty much download on the fly, and we find that it's fast enough for our use case. So yeah, however you can store them and download on the fly is working. Did that answer your question? Okay.
How do you watermark your stuff? Like in case something were to be misused, is there a way to discover that this was built with Tavus?
Yeah, so that's a little bit of the secret sauce. So I can't say too much, but there are watermarks that are added during inference time for detection exactly like that. Yeah.
Cool. So have you thought about now that you've got a very natural human head person talking, the gaps to making even more compelling educational content of the sort that you see on YouTube that might involve editing or B-roll or other types of content?
Do you mean like splicing in B-roll or?
Yeah, so I'm thinking about any type of educational video you might find on different topics on YouTube. They're not just a single person talking. There's a variety and depth of presentation that tells a broader narrative to help educate you. So we're solving the broader challenge of educational content writ large.
Totally, yeah. So I think that there are a couple things there. One is, I think the most important part is like that presentation switching mode. And so we're actually planning on releasing a few features that allows kind of customization of, we're calling it scenes. So you're able to do presentation scenes and then lecture scenes and kind of interlacing those in one video. Because it is a really asked for feature for sure. Yeah.
Do you have any real-time capabilities?
I can talk about that with you after. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I have a question regarding the text. So, for example, I have some text about.
Here, wait, let's wait. Yeah, I can't fully hear. Thanks.
Thank you. So I have a question regarding the text to video concept that you shared. So the question is like, let's say I have a text regarding a product, such as like iPhone. So can we create a video like a person is demonstrating about the product or, sharing, some good qualities about that product through the text?
Meaning like demoing, like showing the product?
Yeah, so let's say like I want to create my video about iPhone and I'm saying like this iPhone is like, really good. The camera is like really versatile and so things like that.
Yeah, so you can include anything that you want in the script, and that is what your replica will say. We don't have capability of replicas like holding up novel items, so you won't be able to like demo that, but Christian's working on that maybe. But yeah, anything that can be added to a script can be spoken.
Thank you.
I'm a bit unsure if you I think I saw something about this in the slides, but you said for like evaluating how good it is doing, you look at it yourself a bit. Like do you have some sort of eval like benchmarking method to assess performance as you iterate on experiments?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we definitely have regression tests which span a pretty large data set of diverse replicas that we will test all of our experiments on and do a comparison. There's some quantitative stuff you can do, like SyncNet, for example. You can use that to gauge if the lip sync, or is the audio video still in sync? How is the lip sync accuracy changed? But generally, human eval, I think, is still the best for this area. Yeah.
What have you seen in terms of best practices for people disclosing that this is AI generated?
Yeah. Yeah, so we leave that up to customers to inform end users. And what we've seen work really well is putting watermarks like underneath. We're also able to add watermarks to the video if that's something they want. Typically, we kind of leave it up to the customer, but we kind of work with them to come up with a solution that works for them. And I think we had, yeah. Yeah, the question was around AI ops and how we keep track of versioning. Is that correct? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess there's experiments which we are tracking with WANDB, for example. We'll use that to track within experiments, but this is like before it gets to production stuff. So this is like during research, during development. For production, we just keep track of which basically GitHub release is tied to what is in production. So I think the most important thing is knowing what code is running in production, what replica has been trained on what version, and what video has been generated with what version. I think if you can figure those things out and have like very sure way of knowing those, then you're doing good. Yeah, I think, no, I don't think we have anything like third party for that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have a question. Since you're using Nerf, right? Like, so are there any capabilities of changing the backgrounds or attire of the person at this point of time? And what is the training time once a person signs in on the platform, right? Like he has to first train its own Nerf model and it would take some time. So what is that time? I wanted to know that.
That's a great question. So we've actually moved on from Nerfs to Gaussian splatting. And that has enabled us to bring the training time down to just a couple hours. So with Nerfs, it is quite higher. You're absolutely right. But with Gaussian splatting, yeah, it's definitely lower. It also depends on the length of the training video a little bit there. And what was the first question again?
The background and the attire of a person.
Yeah, so we do have within our pipeline some face tracking, of course, to get to the 3D intermediates. And in that regard, we're able to create an alpha layer if you want. So this is actually unreleased feature that I'm not sure if I was supposed to talk about, but
Okay,
yeah, we can do that.
Thank you so much.
All right, any other questions? There's still a few minutes left. Oh, yes.
Have you checked the quality being significantly different from the 2D methods based on what you're seeing? Like, do you see a big difference?
Yeah, absolutely, actually. We started out doing 2D a few years ago, and yeah, I mean, there's a stark difference. I would have liked to do like a side-by-side here. That would have been nice to have as well next time. But yeah, we can talk after as well. I can show you some stuff.
Oh.
So I know you send everything as a single video file. And you mentioned scenes for, like, let's say an interview or something. There's typically like a long-sided different shot where you would be at a different angle. Given that it's a Gaussian splat, do you have plans to do different angles of the same shot? Maybe film someone from a different angle, but use that same thing so it can be spliced interchangeably?
That is a great question. So yeah, you're right. Those would have to be completely different models with the current pipeline. However, we're also exploring the dubbing option, which is having generalized models. So if we can make all of our pipeline generalized, then we won't have that problem. And also it depends how long those segments are, because then we could use the same models.
I'm really getting my steps in here today.
So I've come across a lot of videos on like social media with different service providers that provide the same service as you. What I've noticed is that a lot of the times the lip syncing is off, like it's actually the mouth area that's obviously off. So, and it's usually with the teeth when they open their mouths and the teeth, they're disfigured. How do you place more emphasis on that within your training pipeline? Or is there an emphasis on that? Or when you use Gaussian splatting or NERF, it automatically accounts for that compared to the 2D methods?
Yeah, we can talk really deeply after, but as a short answer, you need to find a way to backprop the right information backwards. So if you're able to focus on the most important things, for example, lip shapes, then that would be key. And that's where SyncNet comes in as well. That's a very important part to optimize on.
All right. So there is an emphasis on lips within your training pipeline.
Absolutely, yes.
Perfect. Okay, that's all I had to ask.
All right, anyone else? No other questions? All right, let's give these guys a round. Oh, okay, one more. Hold your applause.
This is a little bit philosophical, but as more and more waves of tech take things that used to be really labor intensive in terms of human communication and make them an API call, it seems like we're entering an arms race where basically as an end consumer, we don't know what to trust. We assume it's fake and or generated, if that's a better language. What do you think in general, like, what do you think the future is of offering really deeply personalized things and avoiding this kind of, I don't know, this moment where customers feel like, you know, if you really cared about someone enough to make a video today, that's a real signal that they're worth something to you. And this, your product, which looks amazing, your service makes that really cheap. So what do you think the future is of demonstrating that you really care about a customer as your technology makes it far easier to scale personal touch?
Yeah, so I think that's a really good point, right? Like we went from templatized emails, right? And like that kind of sucks. Like whenever you get a templatized email, like, hey, valued customer, right? It feels not great, right? And I think like what Tavus is trying to do is bring the actual person closer and closer, right? And so it's difficult to do that sitting in front of a camera for, 10 hours a day to record many people. And we're just trying to get like the personal artifacts of the originator closer to the consumer. I don't know if that makes sense. Does that? Happy to jam on it afterwards as well. Cool.
Give these guys a round of applause. Ari is coming from DC. It might be a while before we hear from these two again. Ari is coming from DC. Christian is on a European tour. So they came in specifically today just to give this talk. And now we're going to have Yi Ding, formerly from Llama Index, come up and give another talk. So Yi was one of the first people to give a talk at one of my events last year. And last year he used a text that I sent him that told him I was running 20 minutes late as part of his presentation. So I'm kind of scared to see what he's going to talk about today.
Well, Eugen, you're in for a treat. Okay. If I can log in. You all can see. Wow, accessory. All right. Hi, everyone. My name's Yi. I am formerly the head of TypeScript and partnerships at Llama Index. I don't think anybody's taken up that title yet. So I encourage you all to also have this title at your companies. Okay, so who's heard about this before? This is Levels.io. He made this thing called Nomad List. He's like, look, you don't need frameworks. You don't need LangChain. You don't need Llama Index. Just build your own thing, right? And then, if on Reddit you see things like this, like, don't get your AI engineering advice from Reddit, okay? Right? Like, what is this advice here? Okay, so, but a lot of us in the community have heard these talking points before, right? Like, the LLM frameworks, they add layers of abstraction that make it hard to understand what they're doing, right? Which is, a fair thing. And then they say, well, hey, the documentation is insufficient, which is also fair given that most of the time the engineers we hire like to write code and not documentation. And then your boss says, just build the framework yourself, right? Well, a year ago, that's what my boss said. That's why I created Llama Index TS. I built the framework myself. And let me tell you something, it was not as easy as I initially expected, right? So keeping up with the folks who are still working at my old job is actually a difficult problem. So a little bit more about me. I co-founded the messaging apps team at Apple, and I was there for 8 years. Then January last year, still last year, I realized, hey, everything we built was obsolete, right? Our chatbots, you can use them today. You can use the ones from Comcast, Best Buy, whoever you like. You're like, what 6-year-old built this one, right? And we only had a couple 6-year-olds on the team, but most of them were actually paid, right? So then I joined Llama Index and we shipped a bunch of things. Llama Index TS, Create Llama, Llama Parse, Llama Cloud. Really, really fun, really, really crazy. One of the things I did that was kind of fun is, as Eugen mentioned, I came to one of his meetups. And at that meetup, I coined the term small to big retrieval, or small to big RAG. That was September 27th, right? Jerry put out the tweet 3 days later, right? So I have proof here, right? We were first here at UGen's meetup. This is where all the alpha is. This is where you got to come, right? And 3 days later, and then it became a thing, right? So let me ask you, how many of you have heard of small to big before? Okay, great. Not very many of you, right? This is why this is educational for the rest of you, right? So in Llama Index, we have a couple of different small to big things. Basically, the idea is you embed a smaller chunk and you retrieve a bigger chunk around it. It's actually a class of strategies they can use. So here's an example from last year. Yujian was born in China. He lives in Seattle. He went to UNC Chapel Hill and is currently at Zillis. So I've updated it, right? Same thing. We have a few different sentences here. Mr. Yujian Tang was born in China. He was one of the first users of GPT 3.5. He went to UNC Chapel Hill and is currently CEO at OSS4AI. Previously, Yujian worked at Zillis as a developer advocate. In his spare time, Yujian likes to play basketball. He has a passion for building community, right? So we have 6 sentences here. Let's use those vector databases in your brain. And let's do a top K of 3. Which sentences, if you embedded each sentence individually, do you think the query, where does Yujian work, match? Okay, now we need some brave folks. Nobody's brave? Okay, you, come on. Well, which sentence, 1 through 6, do you think it matches? 3. So that would be, he went to UNC Chapel Hill and is currently CEO at OSS4AI, right? That's the one that we wanted to match, right? That's the one we wanted to match, but it's actually incorrect. Why? Because we don't really know what the embedding models are doing. But one thing we do know is that they have to have some component of looking at keywords. And Yujian is a very uncommon set of tokens in the corpus. So most likely it will match these 3 sentences, right? And it will miss the most important sentence. So this is why you have to retrieve not just the sentence itself, but the surrounding sentences. And this is the idea of the node window or the sentence window, right? Then you're like, okay, well, I'm just gonna embed these big chunks, right? Big paragraphs, maybe in whole pages, maybe in the entire document. The problem then, what happens then if you embed really, really big chunks is that your chunks start to lose a distinct semantic meaning, right? The intention becomes ambiguous. And then what happens after that is what you'll see is actually, you'll see that they will start clustering close to each other, right? All your chunks start looking very similar, right? Which makes it hard for your retrieval to actually get the right chunk out. So this is why small to big is a thing. And it's a thing, right? Like, so Google Gemini, they put it on their website. You can just search for small to big RAG. You can find it on Google, right? Just today, Haystack, another open source framework, announced that they have a sentence window retrieval. So like, you know, good for them, right? They put this in their framework also. So Yujian, congratulations. We did a thing, right? We made a thing happen, right? So now you're thinking, well, let's go back, right? You're thinking, hey, I can do this myself, right? You just explained to me how to do this, right? It's not that hard. It's not rocket science, right? Literally, he came up with this thing in the hour before giving a presentation. How hard could it be, right? So how do you do it yourself? Easy. You split the document into individual sections. Then you have a reference to the sentence before and after in your document store, right? So you can find the one that was previous and the one next. And then when you retrieve, you just retrieve the sentences before and the sentences after, right? Sounds pretty straightforward. Okay, so let's analyze this first step real quick. So how do you split your document of sentences? Well, maybe we just take the periods, the question marks, and the exclamation points. Oh, what happened here? Right, when you split your sentence here, GPT 3.5 turns into 2 different sentences. You're like, well, that's a gimme, okay? Just wait for the spaces after it, right? We're not dumb, right? You don't have to explain this to us. Okay. Well, what about this one? Oh, Mr. right here right, is now its own sentence also, right? So, okay, so if you dig into the Llama index code, you'll see, well, what do we actually do? We actually use a sentence tokenizer model, an actual model for English called Punkt, right? But then there's actually a little bit more of a wrinkle. You see, like, periods, question marks, and exclamation points, right, are different in different languages. So in Chinese, Japanese, and Korean, you actually have these really weird looking, very similar looking, but very weird looking punctuation marks that actually don't have spaces after them, right? So now you have to deal with those, right? So even on this very, very simple example, it may behoove you to see what all these other folks are working on. Give you another example. Ever want to extract something using an LLM, right? So just talked to Jacob today. He said, look, we have this automatic extractor using Zod in JavaScript, right? Could you implement this yourself? Of course you could, right? Is it easy to implement it without running into the same bugs they did? Maybe not. What about agents executing code in a container? Well, why would you even want to do that? Does anybody have any idea why you would want to execute code in a container instead of just in your server? Go ahead. Sandboxing, yes. And why do you want to do sandboxing? Anybody have any idea? No? Okay. It's because you don't want to get hacked by the lead hacksters in their mom's basement, okay? That's why. Because when you start executing code on your server, just out in the wild, you're going to get hacked as soon as somebody writes a little script for you. So guess what? Crew AI, Lorenz is here today. He's like, look, we have this feature, right? Already built. Could you build this yourself? Of course you could. But once again, you'd have to do it, spend the work to do what they're doing. So one last thing, a lot of fun, right? How many of you use some kind of open source model? Okay, a lot of you folks use open source models. Okay, cool. So you must have heard of an open source model called Llama 2. And this is how you talk to Llama 2, right? Now, what comes after 2? 3, right? So you're like, okay, well, I talk to Llama 2 this way. I can talk to Llama 3 this way. Makes no sense, right? Like, why is version 2 like this and version 3 like this? But it is. You can look at the documentation, right? These are the things that we have to work on when we build frameworks. So my advice to you all, learn a framework, right? Even if you don't want to use it, even if you're saying, hey, I want to build stuff on my own, just to keep track of what other people are doing and what other problems they're running into. Join the community and stay up to date with the latest techniques and pitfalls. But you're like, look, my engineers, they're all working on serious stuff, right? So they don't have time to actually do any learning. I've got a solution for you. Just hire me. Okay. Cool. So that's my presentation. Thank you, Jen, for inviting me again. Let me know if you have any questions.
All right, raise your hand if you have a question. Oh, okay.
I was looking at the Llama index offerings like recently. I've heard a lot about Llama Pass. Any updates on that? Any ideas on when that'll be open source or accessible to the public?
When will Llama Parse be open source? I don't have an update on that. To be honest, Llama Parse right now is priced as a community offering. So you can think of more or less the cost you're paying for Llama Parse is more or less what it costs to run Llama Parse. But we're very proud of it, and it's got state-of-the-art results. So, and there's some competitors. So I'm not sure when, if ever, they decide to open source that.
I saw that there was an self-host offering on the website.
Yes, yes. If you have the moolah, please get in touch with them, and then they'll be very happy to take your money.
Thank you.
So besides defaulting to the Llama Index offering, how do you go about, or how would you recommend choosing frameworks when you have to? What goes into your decision criteria?
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different frameworks out there, right? So I would really think about a couple of things. One, what is it that you're trying to build, right? Because each framework, as you get to know them, tends to specialize in something, right? So for Llama Index, that's primarily about LLMs and data, right? If you're building a data-heavy application, I'd definitely think about Llama Index, right? If you look at LangChain, for example, they do a lot of chatbots and agents, right? If you like a crew, all they do is agents, right? So all of these different frameworks have pluses and minuses, and then on top of that, you think, oh, I want to do it in C#, so okay, maybe I'm going to look at semantic kernel, right? So there's lots of different options out there. I would think about, one, what kind of application you're building, two, what kind of community you're looking for, and three, just looking at some of the content, right? So there's a lot of stuff. One of the things I did was, help get the deep learning.ai stuff off the ground. So a lot of stuff there that, it just takes an hour to try it out, take a look. It doesn't take you too long, and get a feel for whether it's something you want to use or not.
So obviously a lot of frameworks and libraries are written in Python right now. You obviously worked on TypeScript for Llama Index, but like, what is your prediction around, like, is the majority going to stay in Python, or with more developers coming in from other like programming languages, where do you see the trend going?
Yeah, so clearly I think more developers are going to come in using their language of choice. And for a lot of developers, that's JavaScript, right? Now, Python does have its advantages, right? So in implementation, for example, one of the things you realize is that most of Python's ML-related libraries are maintained. Most of JavaScript's ML libraries are unmaintained. It's probably even worse for other languages. So there are certainly advantages. Like, for example, Punkt does not exist in JavaScript. So we had to spend several iterations figuring out a corresponding regex that works reasonably well. So that's certainly something that you can think about.
Hi, I'm wondering how to go about getting an overall idea of what's in the LLM ecosystem. What are all the, because there's seemingly 1,000 tools coming out every day. And I don't want to keep track of everything, but I want to just get a high level overview of all the different types of things in the ecosystem that I might need.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, I'm actually sort of doing a brain dump of my view of the LLM ecosystem into GitHub. It's not quite ready yet, but I agree there's a lot of different tools and a lot of different options, a lot of different vector databases, a lot of different LLMs to use. So yeah, I agree. It's definitely something to wrap your mind around.
I wanted to know your thoughts about the graph rag, which has been pretty popular recently, especially with the Microsoft launching graph rag.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting, right? It's also very new, right? So knowledge graphs are very cool for using certain types of applications with connections, and definitely LLMs can help with populating them and also with searching them. I would say though, it's very new. So think about, when you're building what you're building, like, is it something that you're willing to do a lot of learning yourself?
A quick follow-up, are you concerned about the cost to build those knowledge graphs? Because, in the enterprise's use case, it's normally heuristics or rule-based, but if you're using the large language models with all the knowledge graphs, it's quite expensive.
Yeah, so that's certainly something to think about. And also, if your knowledge graph is very big, building it automatically may not be the right move, right? It's a very cool demo, right? Oh, you have some text and boom, it just extracts the knowledge graph for you. But is that what you really want? It's because LMs can be stochastic. They can be somewhat unreliable sometimes. So really think carefully about your use case, and maybe you can just do it with rule-based.
So the LangChain blog you quoted with Peter Level's posting, that blog stated that the biggest issue with LangChain is that they break a lot of interfaces. And when you have your model provider breaking interfaces and LangChain breaking interfaces, why would you not use a stable interface like HTTP to go straight to your model provider and introduce one more possibility of your code breaking?
I mean, it's a real problem, right? So API breakage is a real problem. And the thing is that the space is moving so fast that you will have API breakage. So I don't have a good solution for you, but even when OpenAI comes out with new APIs, they break all the time too. Tool calling they just changed it also. So, but what I would say is, once again, my friends at LangChain, my friends at Llama Index, they've put in a lot of time and energy into making everything work together. So it should behoove you at least to look at what you've done.
I have a comment about the graph rag thing, by the way. So you should check out my YouTube channel where I interviewed the Neo4j guy recently.
Do you foresee Llama Index being used for enforcing security and narrative control features based on roles?
So yeah, so that was actually added to Llama Cloud, I think, fairly recently. So there's some access control feature built into Llama Cloud.
That's already in production. That's like available now.
I think it's live. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Am I missing somebody?
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, I think we should take a quick 5-minute break, like bathroom break, whatever, get up, walk around, and then we're gonna go kick off with all of the 2-minute demos. So this is like the true lightning round. So those of you who received an email from me this morning, or maybe it was yesterday, I think it was this morning, please come find me.
So what is the plan?
Count down,
Okay.
and then you're gonna be, I'm gonna basically tell you to get off the stage.
Okay.
So you have 2 minutes to do the live demo. I would wait until people kind of come back.
Yeah,
So give people 5 to 10 minutes, let them go to the bathroom, whatever, and then I'm gonna get them to come back. Probably get you in the class. Okay, I'll message you. Just send me. I'll be back collected, but I'll add you again. Just plug it in. Do you have a laptop? Okay, cool. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's half of the people. So there are 15. Okay, there's these guys here. No, just there's. You don't have to line up right now. You guys are very I'm gonna everybody see okay, here. I'll let you. So you're gonna come up. Everything has to happen in 2 minutes. So you gotta just be ready. Okay. This is super lightning round. Last time we did this, sometimes it takes people 2 minutes just to talk about themselves. Say what you're working on. Jump into it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
So he's hooking up, you're standing in the middle.
Here's an example of how it works. Find me after. Just hang out. So there should be, this whole thing should take an hour. And then there should be about and afterwards, Actually, I'll call you up in order. Oh, let's make it easier. I'll call you guys up in order, so you guys don't have to stand up in line. Okay? How about that? Let's do that. I have the ordering in my calendar, so I'll find it and I'll call you guys up in order. The first one that's going to go up is. Word width. Right here.
No. Yes, assistant UI. Assistant UI.
And then next one. That's me.
Oh, that's me.
I can read your email.
All right.
Intelligence. That's why. You're first. So, yeah, I'm gonna. And then after what? Element AI. I just saw that guy. Okay. And then intelligence again, just did it twice. Trojan vectors. Yes, that's so everybody. Oh yes.
Yeah. Second. Okay.
That's it. So you guys you're attempting my position again? We're after Brett. BRSAI. Hey, Jane, sorry, I missed the briefing. Yeah.
Very good. What's your last name?
All right. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. All right, clap once if you can see me. Clap twice if you can hear me. Clap 3 times if you can hear me. All right, we're gonna go to 4 claps. That means you guys should really quiet down. All right, clap 4 times. All right, great. Everybody be quiet. All right, so if you want to watch the fast 2-minute demos, please stay up here. If you are looking to kind of like continue talking, please move to the back. So people who I see on the sides, if you're going to continue talking, please start walking to the back. All right, so we've got 15 companies presenting today on their 2-minute demos. And yeah, I don't really have much more to say about it. So Wordware, you're up first.
Hello, everyone. Hello. All right, so I'm going to do a lightning demo of Wordware. Wordware is an AI orchestration solution. You can build workflows, you can build agents, you can build entire sort of LLM backend solutions using Wordware, and it's great for cross-functional teams. So what I'm going to show you is basically a party planning app. I'm starting writing my prompt. I'm saying I'm planning a party, and then I can actually start adding a structure generation here. I'm going to fill this with tasks. And I can just show you how this is going to look like so far. So it's going to generate, and it's going to essentially generate a list of tasks now. So I don't really have time to build this entire thing in front of you. So I actually built it before. I cheated a little bit. I'm just going to explain how this works, how you can build like an agent flow very quickly using Wordware. Essentially here, I'm generating a list of tasks. I'm looping through them. So I can actually loop through all the tasks I'm generating. I can select an action, I can execute it through this sort of branch logic here. So if I run this, it's going to start executing my tasks. And this works kind of like a Notion notebook. So it's very easy, it's very friendly for non-technical people. But where we really see the value here is in cross-functional teams. So you can have technical people and non-technical people collaborating. So domain experts essentially collaborating with technical people in building AI agents and workflows together. So I think that's my 2 minutes probably. Any questions? Thank you.
All right,
so much.
thank you. Thank you for keeping it under 2 minutes. For those of you who come up to present, there's the 2-minute timer right there. So Thinio, you're up.
There we go. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, there you go. Hello, everyone. I'm Anna, founder of Thinio, which is a Copilot tool for managing your API documentation. We are backed by YC and other amazing investors. And to get started in Thinio, it's quite easy. You just need to import your API specification, and that can be anything from GraphQL, SOAP API, etc. Let me just create a random project here. We also have our own proprietary AI model. This was released before ChatGPT, and we can generate all the descriptions for you. So as a developer, you don't have to ever worry about generating the content. But on top of that, we also have integration with ChatGPT, so the users can ask the questions inside the documentation. We have a lot of automations in place, from GitHub Actions to our own CLI and SDK tools, Postman integrations, etc. And then my documentation is already completed. And everything that you are seeing here, how the documentation looks like, you have full customization. You can completely change everything that you're looking at. But we also know that when it comes to documentation, you want to collaborate with others. And for that, we have our own this kind of Notion-like editor that allows you to collaborate with anyone. And it's like Figma, you can see who collaborates, etc. Extremely easy. In the documentation, users also can try out the API, and also we take care of your changelog. So you don't also have to document anything about the changelog. We do all the release notes for you automatically. On top of all of these, we also have developer portals, and with developer portals, we give a lot of different templates. Here is an example from Swap. They use Thinio also for user guides, for APIs. All of that, it just took them a couple minutes to generate. And an example also from Yom, where they're using Thinio for API catalog. So let's say I'm interested in Ledger API. I can go and this is how their documentation looks like. We have a lot of automations in place. And if you're interested, here is a QR code that you can use to try out Teneo for free. Thank you.
Ooh, right on time, 2 minutes. All right, next up we have Phi from Beluga.
Oh, thank you. Hi, so I'm Phi, I'm from Beluga. I built a coding tool for non-coders. Building a software isn't just writing code, that's easy. It's 2024, AI can write code for you. The bigger part is figuring out how to piece things together. So I built Beluga. Beluga fills this gap. Let me show you how it works. Oops, one moment. Right, so it first translates your vision into a PRD, aligning features and user journey with you, and then suggest a tech stack, and use these as an input to generate a development plan for you, which is essentially, it has everything from project setup all the way down to deployment, the same way as any pro software engineer would approach the project. And then you just need to follow each step. If you don't know how to do anything of this, just click on it. If it involves writing code, of course, we generate the code for you. If it's modifying existing code, you can click the show changes button to see the changes, so you know what you've done when things go wrong. And of course, if things doesn't go as planned, you can just ask Beluga to fix it for you right away. This demo, I built a to-do list with an AI that makes fun of you every time you add a task. And I built this in 10 minutes. I am an AI-enabled coder. All my code is 100% generated by AI, including this one. So I built this to allow other people to do the same as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, our next presenter, our next contestant on American's Next Top Model is Abhi from We Create Problems.
Hey guys, so the program's actually off. I'm Nolan from We Create Problems, and We Create Problems. So, one sec. Sorry about that. Abhi, what Chrome, okay. Awesome. Let me just do this. Cool. So, like I said, I'm Nolan from We Create Problems, and we create problems so that you don't have to. We are an AI agent to create and deploy auto-gradable and personalized questions, exams, interviews, coding assessments, and just a few prompts. So creating personalized auto-gradable coding assessments is a pretty hard thing to do. It can be hard to make it both content relevant, have a good user experience, have it be error-free. That takes a lot of resources to do. There's a lot of steps that go into it, coming up with an idea, designing it, formalizing it, testing it so that's error-free. Too many things to go over in a 2-minute presentation. So we solve that by allowing you to do this in basically just a few prompts. So if you'll see right here, I can show you how it works. I say, create an assessment for a software engineer with entry-level experience, focusing on web development with React and account security features for a fintech company. And we'll say create with AI. And this basically takes 1 to 2 minutes for it to generate the assessment. As you can see, I'll have to prompt it again, saying I want MCQs and hands-on questions. And eventually, you'll look at a test like this. You'll see 12 questions, 10 MCQs, 1 programming. And on the user side of things, you'll see this page right here, right? You'll have the screen on the left and the problem on the right. Does anyone have any questions of how WeCP works? Yep.
Two-part question, if you don't mind. What is the model you're using?
Hugging Face. Hugging Face. And then the knowledge graph with all of the assessments is using Neo4j and Network X. Thank you. Time's up.
All right, thank you very much. Our next contestant is Jake from brx.ai. Jake and Gergen.
That's gonna. All right, how's it going, everybody? My name is Jake Anderson. I'm the CEO and founder of Bricks. Today, we're going to be doing a quick demo, going through some of the platforms, showing off what we do. So the first question is, what is Bricks? So we built an SDLC infrastructure layer focused on streamlining the AI process for engineering. We're with you at every step from ideation when it comes to developing processing, all the way to prototyping. And I'm going to have Gergen show you guys a quick demo while I talk about what's going on. So as quick as we can, we're going in right now and we're going to be building an agentic operation. The coolest thing about Bricks when you're operating down is we streamline the actual process of building out one of these operations by letting you set variables that we have a full engine resolve on. What this lets you do is a really complicated piece of engineering can now be worked to a single ID and a single parameter that can actually be passed around in your development cycle. You'll see right now, Gergen is actually just building out this brick. This lets him take a piece of agentic operation and a piece of code and instantly export it into a language of his choice. We're dealing with TypeScript and Python right now. For some of our main operations, we're going to try to get this out as quick as we can so you can see one of these runs. But the coolest part is we let you template down a really complicated process into a really simple format that you can actually use for some of your runtimes. So we support pushing all this out and pushing all around. One of the coolest things, and once this is actually finished running, Gergen's actually console logging one out here. I want to show you something a little deeper that we do with token optimization. So we dive a little deeper. We see around 25% of tokens that people are using in production environments are kind of useless and unuseful. So we dive in deep into optimizing out the actual engineering and some of the prompt engineering that's running on the fly. Internet might be a little slow, so it's running out and running through right now. But you see this just ran, and we ran a completely agentic operation one-to-one out this way. But Gergen, if you flip back down to the token ops, so we also do a bunch of git commits, styling history, everything else. One of the coolest things is we're actually able to optimize down the token engineering. And something really interesting is we've actually found a different way of interacting with some of these models. That one piece of text on the right, Gergen, if you throw it in too, this is actually optimized out for the C100K. So we have the ability to play a different language almost inside any model. So we ask the question, is English necessarily the best way to talk to models? But
thank you very much. All right, our next contestant is Simon from Assistant UI.
Hey everyone, so I'm building Assistant UI. My name is Simon, and Assistant UI is a chatbot UI for React. So if you're building a GPT wrapper, if you want to add a chat interface in your website for whatever reason, you can use this. Supports lots of things, so streaming, for example, being able to edit messages. And the example that I want to show today is an open source version of the Claude artifacts. If you're seeing Claude, it's able to generate components and visualize them. So here's an example of this doing that. So as you can see, I'm able to define custom components with Assistant UI. And as you can see, it's able to render HTML right here. And all of this is open source. So if you need a UI for your next AI project, feel free to use this. That's all I have. Thank you. The website is assistant-ui.com. So yeah.
Great, I love that. Short and sweet. All right, our next contestant is Alex from Value Network. Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm from Value. And as an AI engineer, I think most of you would know that the hardest part is finding the right data for your model. So at Value, we work with data platforms and content platforms to license their data for AI training. So besides the business talk aside, what tools we have for developers? So on our open platform, you can discover 2,000 of the most, not the most, but some of the most widely used data sets. And you're able to find the provenance information. So we calculate the provenance graph of how the data set's used and how it's derived from. It's just some characteristics. You can discover the license attached to the data set and whether there are potential licensing conflicts. And you can actually compare data sets with other data sets. We're also currently releasing a Hugging Face integration soon where you can import and export data sets from the platform and also compose READMEs based on your metadata. And just to add a little thing, we have also open sourced our LLM serving infrastructure and that we use internally. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next up we have Jovi from GitRoll. Jovi, where are you? Nice.
Pulling up. Sorry, 1 second, 1 second. All right, we got it. So hi, everyone. We are Jovi and Ray from GitRoll. And
okay, and we are developers ego eliminator. Okay, one word. What we're doing is we can identify good or bad developer by just getting their code in minutes. So let's do a demonstration. This is Lantern CEO Harrison Chase. Let me find out his GitHub, copy, paste, GitHub. And we can copy his address. And then go to GitRoll and click scan GitRoll now. Everyone can scan it, it's free, it's totally free. And you can scan yourself and it's with private repo and for assessment, but now we can do the simplified version. Okay, and paste. Okay, and just wait. Here's the result. Here's a S-tier AI ML developer, and we have tiers and percentile rank above 99% of developers, and we have this pentagon. We can showcase if this guy can write buggy code or not, and if his code is dangerous, have vulnerability, and if his code is dirty, very hard to maintain, and his contribution among in open source community and influence among developers. So this is a magic mirror can tell everyone, mirrors on the wall, who's the best developer in the world. And we can also showcase his languages, okay, Python, and the authentic tech stack. Code doesn't lie. And we also have the repository here. You can showcase, and you can see their detailed issues here. Okay, like for code smell issue, maintainability. Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
yeah, follow us on Twitter and scan your GitRoll.
All right. Next we have Omar from Mutable AI. Omar, are you here? Mutable AI, are you here? All right, I guess we'll just skip that then. Aswaria from Intelligence, are you here? I saw you earlier. Ah, there you are, okay.
Okay, everyone, I'm Aishwarya. I'm the founder of Intelligence.ai, where we're building a platform that essentially takes you from the start of onboarding to a code base through solving your issues, addressing your pull requests, and then give you overall feedback on how you're doing as an engineer. So yeah, as I said, we're kind of working on being this pair for the software engineering process. We've made it super simple for you to be able to set this up for any code base and instantly enable the issue solutions as well as the pull request review. So if you go here, what we can do is when you onboard to a new code base, oftentimes you have no idea like what types of questions you can ask it, or just like how to understand the code. So what we do is we essentially scan through the entire code base, understand the main sections, areas that you need to understand, and give you a list of primary modules for kind of going through the entire code base. And then you're able to click on each of them and better understand whichever part of the code base you're most interested in. Additionally, you can also get like all the recent updates, how the code base is changing, what different people are doing. So we essentially index all the open issues, all the people contributions, and understand and synthesize the code so you can onboard to it seamlessly. And then, as I said, we integrate with all of your GitHub issues. So if you go here and click on one of these issues, our bot is able to go through the code base as well as the issue and give you an explanation, as well as all your pull requests get automatically reviewed. And we synthesize all of this information so that you're then able to ask and further understand questions about how any of these parts work. Yeah, so here I'm just kind of going through each of those sections in our onboarding guide so that we can better understand how the code is structured and how it's put together. Cool, that's it, thank you.
Cool, thank you. All right, our next contestant is Toolhouse. So Daniel from Toolhouse, are you here? Daniel from Toolhouse, all right. Never mind then. Sahil from Adapt, are you here? Ah, great, okay.
Not visible? Okay. All right, so Adapt helps you build real-time AI applications quickly. Now, what is a real-time AI app? Well, if you've got voice coming in or video coming in or any sort of sensor data coming in and you want it to be low latency, that's what a real-time AI app is. So that includes conversational AI, anything in robotics, AI avatars. Now, why is it hard? Well, it's hard because developers don't know how to deal with video or audio. Tavus people can probably attest to that. We make it very simple for you. So all you need to do is import the SDK, annotate the function, given the streams as input. And if you return a stream as output, we handle the rest. How? Well, you write that file using SDK and deploy it with a single line. So if you want to build a language learning app or you want to build Tavus real time to generate video, you come to us, we scale it for you, make it available to hundreds of thousands of users. Let's show a demo. All right, let me do a real demo here. All right, so let's deploy this real quick. This is a chatbot that is an avatar that can talk. I have a front end running. Let me just deploy it. Boom, it's deployed. This is the link. Let's copy it. Let's go to the browser window, paste it here. Hey, how are you?
Thanks for asking.
All right, so that is Adapt. I hope you have scaling problems. I hope you guys succeed and come to us.
Very funny.
That was very cool. Next, we have Oksana from Bot Prize. Try just the HDMI cable. Can you plug in just the HDMI?
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Oksana from BotPrice. BotPrice is a composable software platform with AI agents. What do? We try to achieve, and we are achieving 3 goals: orchestration, automation, and auto-remediation of cloud IT insecurity issues. When we're talking about orchestration first, any user, technical and non-technical, is able to build an API-based integration in a matter of minutes in 1 or 2 steps. The second step, automation. So we built a semantic layer of automations. We call it catalog. We have more than 17,000 ready-to-use automations for different tools, as well as we cover different cloud services. And you as an engineer or as a user, you say, okay, I have all these automations. I can create my agents workflows, but what if I want to do more? So we give you a possibility to create new automation pieces by using AI. Here, you will need just connect your GPT instance, the tool that you want to extend the capability, choose the capability, and AI in your infrastructure will create this automation piece. And then your AI agents can be very powerful. When we are talking that we are working with cloud security and IT issues. So as per security standard, every cloud service should be compliant. And you're getting different issues in your cloud from your cloud providers that something is wrong, something is not encrypted. So here, AI will be able to create the remediation workflow for you in your infrastructure. And then next time when this issue will come, it automatically will fix this issue for you. Definitely AI will take a bit more than 10 seconds, but I'm happy to show anytime the real-time demo for anyone who is interested. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Oksana. Next, we have Dhiren from Momentum.
Hey everyone, I'm Dhiren. I'm the co-founder at momentum.sh. We are stuck in a vicious cycle where developers hate testing, but they are still not confident deploying the code to production. And at Momentum, we have built out an entire workflow to solve this problem. When a developer pushes to the remote repository, they come to our dashboard and they can jump into any project that they're working on. They're able to select the branch that they're working on and see a blast radius of the changes. The blast radius is essentially a possible scope of impact, all the APIs, entry points, paths that can be impacted by the changes. And they can go ahead and look at a visual representation of their entire code in order to understand what are the impact vectors, what is going to impact the complete output of the code base, and save preferences here. They can then go ahead and generate a test plan, which will cover all the happy parts and edge cases for them, and eventually generate the test code. And the test code does take a few seconds to generate, so I already have a preloaded one. And you can run this on your local ID, no additional setup required. When you run this, this is actually like running in my ID right now. And it will show you all the tests that passed or failed, and you can see the stack trace of why anything failed. You can debug using the tool itself, and it will tell you, what are the problem statements, what are the solutions, what are the next steps. You can edit your test code using prompts from the suggestions given by a debugger, and essentially incorporate the tests in your code base. And finally, after doing all of this, if your reviewer needs help merging your code, they can use the GitHub board, which already also helps them look at the test plan and get it done. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are open source. Give us a star. Show some love. Thanks.
All right. We have 2 more contenders today. So next up is Element AI. Element AI. All right.
Cool. Hi, everyone. I'm Ibek, co-founder of Element AI, and we help engineers write front-end code 10 times faster. So how many of you have been in this situation? I'm sure a lot of people have wasted a lot of time writing front-end code here. So here, I'm going to show a quick video of how this works. All right, so here's my co-founder building a feature. So we are able to take image, Figma files, or text prompt as input, and we're able to write code that's in your code style using your existing front-end components. And all of this is generated in seconds. So as you can see here, he inputted a screenshot, and he has code that's 90% perfect. All you need to do is connect business logic, and you might need to figure around a little bit, but pretty much it's ready for you there. So as you can see here, he's copying the code. There's an error came up, so he's just going to fix it. All right, almost there. Cool. So this is a feature live. So we are, oh shoot, how do we do this? There we go. We are Element AI. We help you write front-end code 10 times faster. So use us in your next project or use it at work. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Last but not least, we have Sachin from Trojan Vectors. Clearly, somebody thought this was least as they're leaving right now.
Just 1 second.
Try the HDMI cable.
Oh, yeah. It was a little bit loose. Hi all, I'm Sachin, founder of Trojan Vectors. We help you protect your AI applications from prompt hackers. Today I want to show you a novel attack which we have shown with multiple product companies, which is indirect prompt injection. You can check the attack later, but till that point, have you guys eaten your today's portion of rocks? If you guys had noticed that Google's AI overview recommended people to consume at least 1 rock a day, and this is an early example of indirect prompt injection. This was not malicious, but a malicious attacker can perform these sort of attacks and destroy your RAG applications. So let me just quickly show you how these attacks can happen. So before adding poisoned example, it didn't run properly. This is GPT-4 we are using. Yeah, the correct answer is revenue increased by 15%. But after adding poisoned example, which looks like this, the GPT-4 hallucinates to 42%, and this is kind of RAG poisoning. So we perform this sort of attack on different like AI products and show you how red teaming can be done and protect you from prompt hackers. So thank you. Like follow us on like Twitter and LinkedIn, and let me know if you have any AI security questions. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Thank you very much. This concludes our own version of America's Next Top Model. For those of you who have any questions, I'm about to put up my LinkedIn so I can self-promote some more. Works perfectly for me on the first time. So yeah, if you have any questions, if you have anything you want to say, find me on LinkedIn. If you have any complaints, find me on LinkedIn. If you want to tweet about this event or LinkedIn posts about this event, you know, find me, tag me. If you are building a startup, find me, tag me. If you are building open source developer tools, find me, tag me, let me know. Or if you know anybody who wants to present at these events, tag me, let me know. All right, guys, thank you all for coming. We're gonna have open networking, and then later on, I'm sure people will go to a bar somewhere in a few blocks. If you guys, we're gonna get kicked out at 8, so maybe after that. All right, thank you guys.